You're getting
Close
a little
enough.
more French every day.
That's a little more French. Today, the Down and Dirty at 30, and Caleb joins us. We're going to talk a little bit of recruiting because Tennessee's about to have a commitment come up, I believe, at least an announcement day. The Down and Dirty at 30 is brought to you by our friend Zach England, the best personal injury attorney in Chattanooga. Zach England, Zach's got your back, Best and Brock, and Zach can go toe to toe with those huge, monstrous insurance companies that have the scary uh, attorneys, and Zach can go right up against him. He's done it. He's won. You may not even have to go to court. You deserve what you got out of that personal injury, and it could be very, very significant. So Zach's got your back, Zach of Best and Brock. So, Caleb, we got a commitment announcement coming up. What can you tell me about this young man who's supposed to announce tomorrow?
Yeah, so DeSean Bishop, a running back out of Carnes High School, a high school I'm pretty familiar with, is
The
announcing
big,
his commitment
the
tomorrow.
fan from Beaverland. I just
Oh,
like
yeah.
saying that.
So it looks like it's going to come down to App State and Tennessee for him. And he was originally a Coastal Carolina commitment, but whenever Chadwell left for Liberty, he said he talked to the other coach. It just wasn't the same feel at Coastal, so he went ahead and decommitted and reopened his commitment. He took an official visit to App State this past weekend, really liked Boone, but he's a hometown kid in Knoxville. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee picks up its second running back in this class. The really only true running back Tennessee has right now is Khalifa Keith, and he's also a three-star prospect who was previously committed to Kentucky. So I know they say Cameron Seldon, the athlete, he could swing the running back, but I really don't think he would. With Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman on the way out, he'd probably end up as a receiver.
Well, Keith is more of a power back too, right? So he's not the
Yeah,
traditional type.
Keith, when he comes in, will probably be more of a power back because if you think about it, they'd have put Princeton Fant in on goal line situations this season. There really wasn't a running back they could put in that would get them that 1 or 2 yards, on the goal line or like a 3rd and 1. So I think Keith will provide that extra push next season. And Bishop, whenever you look at him on paper, nothing really stands out at you, like 5'10", 200 or so pounds. But he's the second. He has the second most yards in Tennessee history. He was like 100 yards off of Jalen Hurd's single season rushing record his junior year. Back to back Mr. Footballs, over 8,000 yards in his career in high school. Really, he's just a gamer. Like, he's got football speed, and he's just hard to break. I don't know what it is. He's not really shifty or a Derrick Henry type. He's somewhere in between, but people just can't tackle him.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah. So, Caleb, I wanted to actually switch gears on another recruit. I wrote a column yesterday because I'm speculating on something, which is Jordan Phillips entering the transfer portal. He entered it a little late, honestly, relative to when you're supposed to enter. And he entered it right after a new defensive lineman, Nathan Robinson, arrived on campus and was practicing with the team last week. Do you think those are connected? Do you think Nathan Robinson is really underrated with his potential? Because he was only a 3-star across the board, and he's only like 270 pounds.
Really, I read that, and I wasn't sure. When you look at Nathan Robinson, he's 6'5", 272, and then Phillips is 6'2", 295. So did the coaching staff tell Phillips, like, hey, we're going to invest in Robinson, tell him gain weight, and start him next season? That could have happened. I also look at the transfer portal, and right now it's really defense. Like, there's no defensive talent in the portal. It's pretty dry. A lot of guys right now, like Tennessee's going after a lot of receivers, but when you look at the portal defensively, there's not a lot of guys in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if after the bowl game we do see a lot of guys from other schools enter the portal, specifically defensive guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if another wave of Tennessee guys enter the portal for that same reason. I could see Phillips looking at Robinson, and maybe that pushed him over the edge. Or it was I didn't expect him to go in the portal because he played he was redshirting this year, and he played 3. He got meaningful snaps in the games he played. So I was surprised with that as well. I could see that. Maybe they told him Robinson would project. He's the number 16 prospect in Tennessee, and he's got a lot of weight he could put on, but that was pretty surprising.
Well, as far as you've kept tabs of the transfer portal, you mentioned receivers, and I thought the same thing about about defensive players. I don't know why, but it just seems light there, which is unfortunate for Tennessee because they could use help there. But I'm curious, some names out there that you see floating around that are worth keeping an eye on. they're really hard to project because they seem to just pop out of nowhere. But who are some names that maybe you're keeping an eye on?
Well, the transfer portal is interesting because, like, when you look at a high school guy, you can say, like, oh, he loved Knoxville or he loved Neyland. You can project him to Tennessee. But a lot of these portal guys are just making business decisions. Like, whenever Tennessee picked up Andre Carrick yesterday from Texas. Like, he's not coming to Tennessee because he wants to play in front of big crowds at Neyland. He had that at Texas. He's coming to Tennessee for playing time. So that's why the portal is so weird. And then you look at, I think Devontae Walker is a big guy to be watching for Tennessee. He was a wide receiver at Kent State. He led Kent State in yards. He was all MAC this season. He's taking a visit come first of the year, sometime in January is his plan. And then on Wednesday, Johnny Cornelius is announcing his commitment tomorrow. So he's a Rhode Island offensive tackle, 6'5", 310. So he took a visit to UT, and he didn't spend a lot of time in Knoxville. I think it was Friday night into Saturday he was in Knoxville, and then Saturday night into Sunday he was in Columbus. So he's getting a lot of visits in a short amount of time. But I think Tennessee is in a good place to get him as well. The only thing about that is since they picked up Carrick from Texas, it makes me wonder if Cornelius sees that as like, hey, Tennessee just gave up my spot. So that's the only thing with him. But he's a Northeast football player. He wasn't really recruited a lot out of high school just for the simple fact that there's not a lot of dominant colleges in the Northeast to recruit him. So I think Tennessee has a good shot with him. It's just a matter of, does Carrick turn him away, or does he still come and compete for a spot? Because I think there's a lot of open spots on that line.
I want to get the whole committee's thoughts here. And let me start with you, Caleb Jarreu. Trying to do better on it, but now you made me insecure about it. So, Caleb, let me start with you. The concept of a player opting out when they have an NIL deal, I think you'll start to see less of that. You'll start to see some contracts that say you're obligated to play in the bowl game. And I'm just going to throw a for instance out there. Jacob Warren is heavily involved with promoting Craven Wings, for instance. If I'm Craven Wings, I want him in that bowl game. How might that have an effect, you think, moving forward? Because the opt-outs, and Jacob Warren hasn't, by the way, but the opt-outs to me are kind of frustrating for bowl season.
I mean, it really depends on how you look at it. A lot of these guys are opting out for NFL money. So do they think that they'll get more money from the NFL than from NIL? Then they might opt out anyway. I don't know. Opting out is weird to me. I was listening to Bryce Young before I came on this morning, like talking about how he wanted one last game with his brothers and they worked hard all season. And I get that side. Like, I get both sides of the argument. I just don't know where I'd fall. Because, I mean, if you told me that I was going to be a first-round draft pick with money on the table, like, I don't know if I would risk it in an Orange Bowl that really doesn't matter in the long run.
Now Joe is saying that your name does look like Jarreu, like I was saying it when I first met you, but it's Jarreu.
Yeah.
Pronounce it one last time.
Jarreu.
Jarreu. All right. Calhoun, you practice.
Jarreu. Basically, gyro, but a really, 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 really thick Southern accent person said it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
be sure,
exactly.
be sure to hit that like button so we can bring you more recruiting information, transfer portal information as well. And Jarreu, certainly appreciate it. We will talk to you soon. Look forward to seeing what you have next. And the countdown continues. Awesome. Who's on our countdown today is 5 things to know about Tennessee's upcoming signees.
That's a good point. Let me find out who's on the list. Today will be Ethan Davis and then Cameron Seldon, guy we talked about already.
Ethan, I will go ahead and tell you, Ethan Davis is the guy that I'm highest on out of this group. I think he will be a no-name for the first year, maybe year and a half, and then I think his athleticism, from what I've seen, explodes onto the scene by his junior season at the latest. There you go. That's my thoughts. Even more than Nico. More about him. Even more than Nico, who can do push-ups.
I like Jordan Matthews personally. He's DB 6'1", like 184. He's already like day one could put in time, and he's a sub 11 guy, so like his speed is just crazy. And I mean, he had Texas, LSU, and everybody else calling his name, and he came here to Knoxville. So
good deal.
That's my guy.
Everybody's practicing on your name. Somebody will eventually get it right.
I know.